Well, it's New Year's Day, and today's the day the metal's going on. And you know me, I don't worry about doing things right. So when you go to make this transition, typically you would either go underneath the overhang where the two roofs would overlap, or you drop down another inch and use the transition flashing. But I am just overlapping it right under that little bit of overhang on the metal. It's only 2 inches or so. And I'm going to use a very good caulk and caulk that seam. I wasn't sure how square this lean-to is going to come out since I just stretched the tape in front of the house, but it came out about perfect. But if it ever comes out really bad, you can just take your piece of metal off and adjust your overhang and cheat that way. This is 2 different brands of metal, so we're going to have, or it comes from 2 different companies, and so it will not match perfectly. The ribs won't. But even if you get it from the same company, if it's a year later or something, it won't match anyway, because roll formers get wore, and I've run into that a lot. So I'll show you how to stretch and pull metal so it doesn't look bad and still seals off good. But since it's New Year's Day, my brother Jesse wasn't working anyway, so I conned him into helping me today. So I do have some help. Hey, Jamesy.
Thank you for helping him, Jesse.
Huh?
I said thank you for helping him.
Yeah.
Jesse, I have a new jacket.
You do. That's a nice warm one, isn't it?
Hey Jesse, I have a new jacket.
Jesse, he has a new jacket. You got a new jacket?
Yeah.
So do I. Daddy does too.
You have new jackets. Daddy does too.
You can see the ribs already aren't lining up in the very second piece. And when he stretches that, it's also going to throw off my straight edge along this string. You can see now it's touching. That's where if you use transition flashing, you wouldn't have to worry about that. So I see people all the time, they'll pull this screw out, move this over till this is like not properly overlapping. But instead of doing that, if I need it to come down, you pull this and it brings the metal down, but I need it to go up. And so I just need to stretch the bottom. Make sure to straighten that screw out then. Well, a roof goes on fast when you've got help. I'm gonna use this trim for my fascia trim, and you see it's some gnarly looking stuff. Some of it looks pretty decent, but most of it is pretty bent up. It was free, and that's what matters to me. And I wouldn't use it when I'm done if it would look bad. But if you like dealing with stuff on the cheap, like I do, you get, I think anyway, you get pretty good at making crappy stuff look pretty good in the end. And then, you know, since I'm the king of not doing stuff right, instead of putting a piece of white trim on the bottom of this, I just painted it white on both ends, and I'll cap it off. And from a distance, it'll look exactly the same. But trim, metal trim, is high. Even a fairly simple piece like this, I'm probably saving 50 to 100 bucks just using this free stuff. Of course, one thing that's going to help a lot is putting gutter over it.
Stuff came pretty easy or fall apart pretty easy?
I don't know. It's made to put it one section at a time. but it's all caulked together, so. Got that old crappy trim hidden pretty good. The gutter looks a little wonky, but I just went somewhere and came back and it looks good from the road, so that's all that matters. And as long as it sheds water that way. I need to get some hangers. I've got the other section of gutter to finish that, and then I gotta run the downspouts. I'm actually gonna try to save this water, run it into IBC totes. So that'll be another project. So since the overlap is less than 2 inches, this is my solution. This is a very good roofing caulk. It's called Solar Seal. Solar Seal. It's like $7-8 a tube, but it's very good stuff. I'm just running a bead right about where right behind where the two pieces meet. And when it pushes down, just right at the splice where it squeezes out. And I am pretty confident that that's going to work great. So I'm just starting here. Got to go all the way through there. Well, that's it. I think that'll be sealed pretty good. And yep, those are blue screws and gray screws and whatnot colored screws. But you know what? It's fine because it looks good from the road. Actually, putting on the metal, I was thinking that we're going to have to stretch. That this was throwing it all off. Well, after those first 2 pieces down there that I had on video, the rest of it just laid down so nice. It's matched up perfectly. Not until the very end here do we have to do a little bit of pulling and stretching and stuff. Well, there's the finishing touch for the roof anyway. I think it turned out pretty good. And those blue screws, can't even see they're there, can you? Now just got left is that little piece of guttering. For right now, any of the water that runs off the gutter should run down in front of this building and run out this ditch.